Welcome to Shad's Guitar Show. Whether it's the gear or the players who made the gear famous, this podcast is about all things guitar. Well, hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome into this episode of Shad's Guitar Show. As always, I am Shad, your host, and I hope to get to know who you are, whoever is listening to this right now. I'm watching the number of downloads rise, which means more people are getting into the show and listening. And I would love to know who you are, where you're from, just kind of, interact with you guys however possible. So feel free to leave me a comment below, and I would love to get to know you a bit. And as the number of downloads grows and the number of people enjoying the show grows, I have to thank you guys for that, who've been with me from the beginning, because obviously, as I've been asking you guys to pass along the information about the show to other guitar playing friends, you seem to have been doing that, and I really appreciate it. It means a lot. All right, so today I want to break down a specific song, and this may be one of the most iconic rock songs ever written, maybe the most. And I wonder, as I'm saying this, what song is coming to your mind right now? I would venture to say that a fair number of you are thinking of the song we're going to talk about. We're going to break this song down. We're going to dig kind of deep into it to learn about how it was written and sort of the mechanics of that. But also we're going to talk about the gear that was used to record the guitar parts. And we're just going to kind of dissect this song, and I think it'll be kind of fun and interesting. I had a lot of fun researching this. So without further ado, we're going to talk about the making of the song that I'm sure many of you already have in your mind before I even say it, Stairway to Heaven from the mighty Led Zeppelin. All right, so let's dive deep into one of rock's towering monuments, Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. We'll retrace the songwriting and recording of the track, explore its compositional architecture, and talk gear, of course, what Jimmy Page used to make it sound the way that it does. Expect first-hand accounts, context in rock history, and some technical aspects. So let's go for it. So the roots of Stairway to Heaven go back to 1970. Jimmy Page had been carrying around a cassette recorder capturing musical ideas. He later said that the first part of the music came one night at a remote Welsh cottage while he and vocalist Robert Plant were taking a break from touring. Plant himself testified in court that the lyrics came together while he sat by a fire at the old Victorian house, Headley Grange, in Hampshire. The lyrics, or a huge percentage of them, were written there and then, Page recalled. Both Page and Plant affirmed that the song was built gradually. Page working on the chord progression, layering guitars, thinking in sections. Plant writing lyrics inspired by images of a woman buying a stairway to heaven. Self-reflection, ascent, and the moral cost of things. Page would later clarify that much of the work, especially in terms of recording, was done at Headley Grange and in the mobile studio there. So snapshot, late 1970, ideas forming, early 71, lyrics, refinement, track recorded from an album commonly called Led Zeppelin 4. Some first-hand quotes from Robert Plant. I wrote the lyrics more than 45 years ago while sitting by a fire at a recording and rehearsal studio in Britain. Quote from Jimmy Page. I knew it was good. I didn't know it was going to become like an anthem, but I did know that it was the gem of the album for sure. Stairway to Heaven occupies a near mythical status in rock history. It's often cited amongst the greatest rock songs ever recorded. Why? Well, a few reasons. The song bridges folk, acoustic introspection, and full-on electric rock crescendo. And that became a template for many rock bands to come. It showed that rock bands could produce an 8-minute song. In fact, 8 minutes and 2 seconds, that wasn't radio friendly, but still became monumentally popular. The excellence of guitar work, dynamic arrangement, lyricism, and production combined to elevate the song beyond just a good track into an event. It still influences guitarists, songwriters, and rock bands to this day. Its presence in guitar shops, its iconic intro arpeggio, its status in greatest solos lists all speak to its legacy. So in short, Stairway to Heaven helped define what epic rock could be. Many bands that followed took cues from its structural ambition and combinations of acoustic and electric textures, its dramatic build and release. It also occupies a cultural monument. Early 1970s, rock expanding in scope, albums becoming artistic statements. Led Zeppelin weren't just playing songs, they were shaping an era. So let's break down the song's structure and compositional techniques that give it such a distinct sound. So the song begins with a quiet finger-picked acoustic guitar. In this intro, I'm sure there isn't a guitarist alive that doesn't instantly recognize it. But there's also recorders, or recorder-like Winwood textures, in the introduction up to about the 2-minute and 15-second mark. And then it moves into a slower electric middle section, where more instruments come in. The drums, bass, electric guitars begin layering. Then there's an extended guitar solo, maybe one of the most epic and copied guitar solos ever written. And I would venture to say it's doubtful that there is any rock electric guitar player that hasn't attempted to learn this solo note for note. So coming out of the guitar solo, the song is really at its apex. We go into what you might consider a bridge section where the guitar has these heavy descending chords, A minor, G, F back to G. And Robert Plant is just hitting these high notes and singing in this part of the song. And all of a sudden, the song just crashes into this really quiet and introspective, short vocal only epilogue that closes out the song. All right, and of course it wouldn't be Shad's Guitar Show if we didn't dive into the gear, right? We've got to talk about the gear that Jimmy used to record this epic piece of music. So the acoustic guitar parts were recorded with a Harmony Sovereign H1260. Now the 12-string electric clean parts, for that he used a Fender Electric 12, which was reportedly plugged directly into the board. Now for that iconic solo, Page used his 1959 Fender Telecaster. Yeah, that's right, Telecaster, not Les Paul, which was nicknamed the Dragon and was a gift from Jeff Beck. And he plugged it into a Supro amplifier. Again, yes, a Supro, not a Marshall, Thunderbolt, or Coronado 1690T to get that epic solo tone. Now, live to reproduce the multiple layers without changing guitars, Page famously used a Gibson EDS 1275 double neck, so he could move between sections seamlessly. And a quote that I found from Jimmy about the recording of the solo, and the amp in particular, he said, "The Stairway to Heaven solo was done when I pulled out a Telecaster and plugged it into the Supro, and away it went." The song was recorded using the Rolling Stones mobile studio at Headley Grange and at Island Studios, London. The layering of the acoustic parts, electric guitar overdubs, and the solo were captured in an era when rock recording was transitioning. More experimentation, and more actually using the studio itself as an instrument. When you listen to Stairway to Heaven, you're not just hearing a song, you're hearing a journey. Carefully crafted, meticulously arranged, and performed with both artistic ambition and technical expertise. And for guitar lovers, for songwriters, for fans of rock and roll, it stands as a benchmark. How one band, in a relatively short window, late 70 to early 71, managed to create something that still resonates decades later. And as I mentioned earlier, any serious student of rock guitar has at least attempted to learn, at the very least, the intro acoustic part to the song and the guitar solo. And I firmly believe that this song will be around for decades to come. It stands as a high water mark for rock and roll composition and what can be done with the right gear and a creative mind. And while the vast majority of us will never write a song that has the same legacy as a song like Stairway to Heaven, we can still aspire to use this song as a template for our own creativity, finding ways to blend different genres, different sounds, and especially the use of dynamics in music to give the song an epic feel. And who knows, maybe you'll end up writing a guitar solo that guitar players for decades to come will be trying to learn. But even if you don't, it doesn't really matter because, as we all know, the best guitarist is the one having the most fun.